From those screams in the night, it can only be one show. Uncensored horror returns to you from the depths of Halloween madness. And we're back.
Oh, yeah.
We've been away for a little minute. Katie and I had a little get together, but we've been away for a little minute. You know,
We sure
been busy.
did.
Life's been busy. We've been doing things, living that life. And
Things are hard.
That's really the scariest thing of them all, isn't it? You know, living life at the moment is the most
hurtling towards
life.
our demise.
Yes. Yes.
Get as much life in there as you can.
For the people wondering where I am again house sitting. So I'm in the spooky studios of True Haunting / Anna Renata. So thank you for letting me borrow the studio while I'm here. I have the lovely Luke and the captivating Cody here today. We are here once again to discuss a recent release this week. It's good to do something new. You know, we like to mix it up. We like to keep things interesting. But the new ones, people tend to go, ooh, let's watch that. So let's hope people go, ooh, let's watch that. Because this week we are discussing a little bit of a pop culture phenomenon, ? Who knows? With the box, I'm surprised. We'll talk more about it in a minute. But this week we are talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay. As always, before we even start, spoilers. There's going to be some. The movie's out. It did a simultaneous release on Cinema and Peacock in the US, and obviously over here we don't have Peacock, so it was just cinema release. So unless you saw it some other way, that's all I'm gonna say. So
Don't
yeah,
even allude to stuff like that.
That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, it is still going strong. It is still a very big prominent feature. I looked at the session times for today. There's a fair few session times going on today here. So it's, I think, a surprise hit. I don't know. Now,
Well, no. When we get into it, we'll get into it.
Yeah, I know. We'll get into it. So, I guess I'll give you a little bit of a. We'll try and spoil it without spoiling too much. So again, if you have not seen Five Nights at Freddy's yet, time to pause the podcast and come back later. So Five Nights at Freddy's is a supernatural horror film based on the hugely successful video game series of the same name, where a security guard who accepts a nighttime job at an abandoned family entertainment center discovers its four animatronic mascots come to life and are inclined to commit a little bit of murder.
Just a little bit of murder.
Just a little bit of murder. And that's as deep as we'll go to start with. So I have no connection to the franchise of games or anything like that before I'd seen.
We're old.
I knew of them, and I knew like characters, and I knew it was kind of like, you know, a Chuck E. Cheese kind of parody, kind of that Nick Cage movie that came out, like to beat this one by a couple of years.
Oh,
you know, yeah, you know, it's like, oh, they must have been like, because this movie's been in development for a little while. It's been bubbling under for a while, so I guess Nick Cage and his crew got there first, and you know, just changed some character names and da 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 da. But the Banana Splits did the same thing a couple of years ago when they did that movie.
I never saw that.
I never saw it.
Yeah, it was literally the same thing. But yeah, interesting. Now, Katie, you're probably, I think, the authority on this, right? Of this panel.
The authority is in the other room, but I will do my best to make him proud. Fun fact: the film was originally supposed to be directed by Chris Columbus. If you know anything about Chris Columbus films, they're not this. Let's put it that way. But it was in
What happened to Chris Columbus? Why was he removed from the film?
I'm like stuttering. It doesn't really say why he dropped out, but this thing was in like pre-production hell for the longest time.
Yeah, it's been sitting around for ages. Ever since the game was got its notoriety, and this has been in development since then.
Like
a little while, just a while.
If you remember Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, those were written by Seth Grahame-Smith, and he was originally attached to produce this. He also dropped out with Gil Keenan, who was the original director. So it went through Gil Keenan, Chris Columbus, until it finally landed on Emma Tammy, which we love a female director. We love that. We love to support females in horror because, it's such a rare occurrence that you have a female directing a horror film, even in 2023. But here we are. I think this is a lot different from the games. And I touched on this a little bit on our Halloween episode. The lore is not there. I think if they actually concentrated hardcore on the lore, this movie would probably be 3 hours long, which
it was
to be
pretty
3 hours long.
I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty long.
It was just under 2 hours. So
and I felt it in the middle. I was like, oh.
Did you feel it should have been a 90-minute spectacular and done?
I think you could have probably cut off about a half an hour and not missed much.
We got
a 90-minute spectacular.
So we'll kind of talk about it as we go along. But let's talk about our lead. Our lead.
What about him?
Josh Hutcherson.
What about him?
I think it was a big miscast there.
I kind of liked him. I thought it was good to see him. I really enjoyed Josh Hutcherson. I think he's a great actor.
I like him a lot. I just don't think he was right for this.
I thought Josh's casting was suitable. Don't think it was amazing. It was just it was adequate. The job is done.
The job is done. It's done. But when you're going toe to toe with someone like Matthew Lillard.
Look,
look, Katie has a bit of a boner for Matthew Lillard.
I am not the only one. I am not the only one. I think I speak for men, women, and babies everywhere.
Katie, did you not have a little bit of a rumor, or is it actually a fact about Matthew Lillard and signing on for this film and perhaps a few more?
I don't know if I have any fun facts about.
I've heard a rumor along the grapevine that he did a 3-film deal or something, but I don't know how true it is.
Yes. There was a rumor going around that there's a 3-film deal in the works.
There probably would have been. Let's not pretend that in this day and age, that when you sign on for something that is hugely popular franchise, that it's not written in your contract.
Yeah, let's
potential moneymaker.
Let's be real. This the idea when you're signing on to a film like Five Nights at Freddy's, we're going to franchise.
There's a sequel. Yeah, there's a sequel coming. Yes. At least one.
and they would be stupid not to keep Matthew Lillard.
And not to lock their cast in and go, yes, we have them for X, Y, and Z if we want them and option them. That's the whole point of contracts is that
I think some people are replaceable, but that man, you need him. You need him.
Now, Steve, you were saying earlier this film's doing well, though, isn't it? So there will be a sequel.
Oh, there's definitely going to be a sequel.
It's doing well enough.
Well enough for the box office at the moment in this current state,
Yeah, and considering it was a split release again.
Yeah. I don't know whether that is still practical. I don't think it is. COVID's done. You're either going to get COVID now or you're going to, it's not.
I mean, do we want to talk numbers real quick?
Yeah, I'm going to talk numbers real quick.
Okay.
I think this split releasing is going to, in the long run, hurt cinema more than it has already. I get the temptation of being able to see it. I don't know. I think that if it's a brand new movie that's premiering on TV, that should be behind a paywall.
Yeah.
That would make sense to me. So the profit goes towards the box office.
Mm-hmm.
That's more accurate. So
I think the problem is that once they're released on streaming, they very quickly become pirated.
Well, it's out there. This movie was literally out there, probably not even half a day after it went to streaming, if that.
Yep.
Like, it's out there. But look, the budget was $20 million, which is pretty modest. You know, a modest $20 million. It has made at the moment $159.6 million. So
okay, they made a little bit of money. No,
that's worldwide. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's worldwide,
and it made its budget back, and then some.
Well and truly.
I think
the rule of three. If you do 3 times your budget, then you greenlit a sequel, and this is smash that.
Yeah, but I think with a movie that is, this is a tricky kind of one because it's a kids' game, a kids-based game, but it's also a horror movie, so the kids can't go to the horror movie by themselves. So they've got to make a parent go.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, like, so the box office isn't, especially with the Peacock release, it's never going to really reflect the eyes
numbers.
On. The initial eyes on. You know what I mean? Like,
not what? Because I mean, we could pay for one screen, and a whole household will watch it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah.
The idea with a movie like this is you want to appeal to the main audience, which is the younger audience, but you also want to appeal to the audience who is bringing that main target in. So you want to appeal to the kids, and you want to appeal to the adults who probably played the game when they were younger, are interested to see it, but probably wouldn't go otherwise if they didn't have a child.
Yeah,
that's my thought to it.
I somehow missed the Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, I was a gamer still when it came out, but it just never come across it. I knew of it, always heard about it, read about it, never played it. But then I was surprised that my daughter was able to relay to me so much information about all the characters.
Oh yeah, they know him. And
I'm like, how do you know this? Because she has never watched the show. But she knows just through like YouTube and TikTok. Like, there's this whole culture out there where they just exist and that they're just known. Like, she's telling me all about Chica and blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay. So you are aware of like what?
Yeah, the demand for collectibles and T-shirts and all that thing is huge. Yeah. Like I remember working.
It's called merch, Steve.
Yeah, I remember working in the stores and people were like, "Do you have any Five Nights at Freddy's stuff?" And this is when, like, this is before it was even going to be a movie. It's like, oh no, like it's not. I'm sure there's 986 kilo of it out there now, but back in the day when it was just a game, it was very sparse, and then it started to come out more and more. You know, supply and demand.
I wonder what it was about the game, though, that made it a cult classic, because I never played it, so I never got to be in on it, but, like, it was just always known of. Like,
it's gateway horror. It's word of, like, sorry, Katie. It's word of mouth kind of thing. It's playground, you know, like remember when we were kids, it wasn't
Mortal Kombat.
No, it wasn't necessarily computer games. It was like, oh my god, do you read Goosebumps books? Is terrifying. Oh my god, okay, I've told you about Goosebumps, then you read Goosebumps, and someone else reads Goosebumps, and we all read Goosebumps together.
I mean, the
next thing you're wagon swimming, so you can all read Goosebumps together.
Well, I mean, the fun thing about the game is, you know, much like my child who was crawling on his belly behind me, you might have caught him.
I missed him.
Oh, he was army crawling behind us. You could probably see. Anyways, so the premise of the first game was, you know, to survive the night, and these little fuckers, these little animatronics, just sneak up on you. And it's fun. It's like, that's the whole reason people love horror, is they love the jump scare. They love the adrenaline you get when, like, a really good scare just scares the hell out of you. And I got to tell you, the first time playing this game with Grayson, we're sitting there. It's not even dark out, and it might have been Freddy, it might have been someone else, just kind of jumps out at the screen at you, and I just like threw the remote and just kind of like, holy shit, what was that? And it's fun, but it's not so scary that it's unbearable for a young audience. It's like, I think it's that jump that you want.
Very similar to
great.
Remember Nightmare, the game Nightmare, or Atmosphere over in the States?
Oh yes,
loved it. You put the tape in, you play the game. It's that kind of.
We were ambitious kids. We made our own version.
It's a pop culture thing that everyone can embrace, and that's why the movie is successful and da 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 da.
Mhm.
Anyway, enough talking about the semantics of advertising. Let's talk about the film. So Josh Hutcherson of Hunger Games fame plays Mike Schmidt, a former shopping mall security guard who is fired after assaulting a father who he thinks is trying to kidnap his own son. That was an epic tackle into the fountain, though. I enjoyed that.
I'm surprised little Joshy had it in him, got to be honest.
I think little Joshy did. Josh goes through it in this movie. He gets his ass roundly kicked in this movie.
That is, not an understatement there. And he has the book with him that he's discussing with his coworker. Are we gonna go right into that, or are we just gonna?
Was he reading Goosebumps?
He was not, but there is a conspiracy behind that book from the fans, but we'll get into that. However, the whole thing I liked about that is you care about Mike Schmidt.
They did a good job of making
he's got the chips down.
He had a rough life. He's having a rough life. You feel bad for the guy. You're rooting for him. I mean, I will give them that. I did genuinely care about him and his sister. I cared about what was going to happen to them.
The PTSD thing, we get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's relatable. It's very relatable. It's something that could actually happen to someone you know.
Yeah. So Mike has.
Do you know what triggers PTSD though? Don't you? Murderous animatronics.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mike has
that's my trigger, honestly.
Mike has a recurring dream of his childhood where his younger brother was abducted on his watch, and his brother was abducted and never found. So it's
how depressing is his life? Going back to that memory all the time.
Yeah. But he's actively going back to that memory. He's trying to solve it because he feels responsibility. Obviously, he also feels responsibility for his now younger sister after their lives have fallen apart, and he is the sole carer. The aunt is a bitch, Gold Star casting there. She is a capital B bitch. Good work.
Not to be too dark, but you gotta think there's a real big age gap between those two. You're assuming.
Yeah.
So in the time that Garrett
parents had a whoopsie.
That's what I'm saying. In the time that Garrett was kidnapped when they were younger, and now Mike is a full-grown adult, he's got a 9-year-old sister, and then his parents.
Would you be considering the other one got kidnapped, should we make another? Okay, Dale.
But it took them so long to do it, and then they dropped dead. Probably because when you're that age and a 9-year-old
child, But these are the situations that some people find themselves in. So, Aunt Jane is a raging cunt. Let's not pretend she isn't.
Yes, she is.
Right. Good
there's
work.
no nice way. There's no way to mince words with that. She is just the ultimate bitch.
Yeah, but salvation comes in the form of a phone call. Mike's career counselor, Steve Raglan, played by
Matthew Lillard,
offers him a lifeline, a job as a night guard at a restaurant.
Yeah, what an odd job, right? When you be why is this restaurant being guarded? I don't see McDonald's with their own personal security guards walking around.
But the reason that the restaurant is being guarded is revealed a little bit later because of the animatronics. The animatronics were state of the art at the time.
Yeah. So they're protecting their.
So they're
trying to protect.
They were better than Grimace and Birdie and Hamburg.
Well, these ones were allegedly battery powered, and they could move around autonomously and interact with the guests. So they didn't have to just stay in one space; they could move around, and that's the whole point. That made them different from Disney.
As someone who frequented Chuck E. Cheese as a child, those animatronics are scary as fuck.
See, we never. Is Chuck E. Cheese nice? Is it nice food, Katie? Is the cheese yummy?
I can't remember. I haven't been there.
I blocked it.
I just like I just the trauma just kind of blocked it out. No,
Yeah, it would be crap.
It's been like 30 plus years since I have last visited a Chuck E. Cheese, so couldn't tell you.
Is there one near you?
There is one near me, yes. I will take Steve.
Marvelous. But the whole point is that you know the animatronics are what needs protecting, not necessarily the site. The site has been broken into multiple times apparently, but it's the animatronics that we are worried about because they are important. Big underline. Cue Mike's first night at Freddy's. He falls asleep and dreams of his brother Garrett. But for the first time he sees...
Again?
Yeah, for the first time he also sees 5 other children who run away when they try and approach him.
Oh, yeah, how trippy was that scene,
when he tried to approach them. Whoops, get it right, Stephen. Can't speak.
Well, I can't get too much yet. I'll wait.
I do love the training video kind of did it for me.
You know.
Oh yeah, I found that quite entertaining. I enjoyed that.
I thought that was cool.
I feel like those are still around.
I was going to say for anyone who's worked in any kind of corporate retail
I had flashbacks to my job at Hungry Jack's, which is the Australian Burger King, Katie. And I had to watch VHS tapes of how to serve people and all this stuff. And it was using all these American terms that we don't even use in Australia, like a broiled sandwich and like all this shit. I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, do we sell this shit? I don't know. But anyway. Flashbacks. So it's a moment of nostalgia.
I think everyone can relate.
The loss prevention videos that we had to watch for all the clothing stores that I used to work for.
Yep. And, you know, customer service do's and don'ts. You're like, don't punch this woman in the head.
I was just thinking, don't throat punch the customer.
But our manager was so horrible at that job. So that job really was like, I'm glad I was hazed by fire into the workforce because it prepared me for what was to come. But my boss was awful, just a nasty, nasty man, and he was horrible to everyone equally, so it was never personal. But one day he was just rude to a customer through the window, and the customer just thought he'd go, boop. And no one cared. We were just like, eh.
I had this manager once at a fast food place I used to work at. Now he hosts this radio show on a Facebook page.
Oh, yeah. Is he a loudmouth? Loudmouth, right?
He was the fucking worst. Hi, Jeffrey. Love you.
he's a saint among men.
My favorite quote from, I know it's getting off topic, but the favorite quote from Jeffrey will always be, "Got to talk to you about your friend. It's an asshole."
It still says it to this day.
I know. That situation's come up a lot when we've gotten together. Let's move on.
Anyways. So
yeah. Continue.
Well, I can get into that dream theory book now.
You go into the dream theory book now.
Okay, so the popular fan theory behind this, the dream thing, is that everything that happens in the games is all just a dream, except for the 4th one, I think. So everything that's happening within the video games is just a dream of Mike Schmidt. I mean, Mike Schmidt doesn't necessarily exist in these games. I can't remember his name. You are Mike Schmidt, basically. Okay. In the game. So yeah, I think. So the vibe. So basically it's the book and the book of the dream theory book and him actively trying to manipulate his dreams is kind of a shout out to the fans about that theory, which I thought was kind of fun, and I did not know until the expert over there told me. Yeah, I had to pay him in concession stand snacks, so there we go.
It's very Nightmare on Elm Street too, like being able to, interact and negotiate with your dreams and and try and get a different outcome. Because the second night at Freddy's, the first and the second night go very quickly. Mm-hmm. Mike has the same dream, but he's actually attacked in the dream.
And because he chases the children, doesn't he?
He
And
does.
he always chases a different one. I remember, and he turned around and
You got to.
it was Big Freddy. It was Freddy.
Yeah.
Well, did you all
Yeah,
get a
that's
good look at those kids?
No, they were young. They were children.
You
What-
didn't get
what
a good
about
look
them?
at them? Because
Bit
if you got a
despondent
good look at,
looking.
well, if you got a good look at these children, it's kind of a hint as to what's to come.
Yeah.
Do they look like something?
Well, one's wearing bunny ears, one's got a hook hand.
Yeah. It's
One's a little chicken.
One lays eggs. One lays eggs. You know, that's okay. So when he awakens, he has the wound from his dream in real life, and he's
I know,
startled.
this is totally Nancy vibes right now from Nightmare on Elm Street.
He's startled when the front door goes off, and mysteriously young police officer Vanessa Shelley arrives to help him out.
How do we feel about her casting?
She's a young cop. I don't
Oh,
think
I'm
she's-
here.
I don't think she's
I'm the
best
love interest.
I
I'm
don't
the
think
love
she's the best
interest.
actress. I didn't really. Yeah. I
Yeah,
didn't
she was
really
pretty
enjoy her.
bland and boring, a bit like I imagine the cheese at the restaurant would be.
And I kind of, when I saw her, I was like, oh, I know where this is going.
Their love story.
I'm just talking more about the storyline of the rest of the movie. I was like, okay, cool. I know who you are. I know who you are randomly showing up in the middle of the night to tend to wounds and knowing where everything is in the restaurant.
The expert leaned over when she showed up and goes, "She's a baby in the other caves."
There you go. Yeah. And
I
obviously,
got that throughout the movie.
you could tell that, there was, I think obviously they needed, I don't know why, but I don't think I think she was supposed to be a love interest, but I never got that vibe.
Oh, I got the vibe that she was meant to be his kind of, like that was his interest in her, was that they could be in a relationship, I guess. I don't know.
I never got that vibe from them. Neither of them seemed real into each other.
Yeah, no, I think he was more, Mike's on the job. Mike's on the job, doing the job, and his job is looking after his sister. Because while this is all happening, and she lays the line about the kids disappearing in the 80s and all that kind of thing. Abby's babysitter Max is working for the fucking opposition. She's working for Arjun.
She's a mole.
She's a mole. And they are going to trash the house.
So wait, so these children went missing in the 80s. Does she ever offer an explanation as to why? Because we know this tying into his brother's story too.
No, that's the whole point. It's a mystery.
We get into
Okay, I'm just trying to make sense of it all for the audience.
Okay.
The audience wants you to shut the hell up and let's get through this movie.
But so Max has been trying to find the like scene of him doing something bad at home, and she can't find anything about him being a poor parent. So they decide to hire a bunch of goons and go in and fuck up the restaurant. So
with the laziest lawyer on the planet.
Yeah, so that Aunt Jane can get custody of Abby because he's abandoned Abby and blah blah blah, and then he can't do.
Okay, and if he loses his job, yep, he
loses Abby. Yeah, she's got the thread of the paperwork. He has to hold on to this job. This job has to stick. So
the thing I didn't like about this plot point was he mentions like she wants it for the check, but Homegirl doesn't look like she's hurting for money.
No, but that's a lot of people aren't. That do that with kids.
And granted, it's probably not a lot of money. Otherwise, they'd probably be living in a nicer apartment, wouldn't you?
But to her, that's like what? Like something else. That's not the money for him is life and death, but the money for her is an extra in her pocket. I think that's the whole vibe. Is he needs that money, he needs that job to make sure that his sister is cared for, supported for, looked after. her taking the kid is just an extra cash in her pocket. Like, that money isn't life and death to her. Otherwise, she could have just taken the kid anyway, regardless of the money. Yeah, she's just a greedy bitch. That's the whole thing. I called her Jude. Aunt Jane, you dirty old bitch. So the gang decides to break in after Mike leaves to imply that, you know, he's I think he's either gone crazy on the shift or left it open, and able to get trash. So they go in there and trash shit up. That is until
they get
Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Mr. Cupcake come alive and slaughter the whole group.
As you do.
Look, nothing is scarier to me than Foxy's humming.
Yeah, the humming's good.
Humming's good. That humming is terrifying because the rest of them don't really have a voice, but you know. And then the expert is in the humming.
Look, they knew their bread and butter, because I'm pretty sure it happens in the game too. There's flickering lights in the game too, right?
Yeah.
Where you see something and then you don't see something, and then
you see nothing, but you hear that humming and you're just like, fuck. It's about
and like glowing eyes, like they knew what they were doing. Glowing eyes in the dark, like you see something behind them as the light flickers. Like they knew it there, but with something for me, with something that big, there's not a lot of tension.
I don't know about you, but I think getting bitten in half by an animatronic's pretty, tense.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably pretty tense for the little kids that shouldn't be watching it.
Yeah, it's probably like. Yeah.
I mean, it happened so quick. It's in the shadow. If you blink, you missed it.
Yeah. And I think that's the point of it. The violence is,
very alluded to in this movie too, isn't it? Like
definitely.
Yeah, what you don't see is kind of the scary bit.
Right. And this easily could have been our film.
And aimed at adults, but it's not.
Right. I'm just saying this easily could have been our film. A lot of the complaints I've heard about it was, it's not scary, it's not violent enough. Sir, madam, this is not an R-rated film. If it was, we would have saw that body hit the floor head on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people have to alter their expectations. This is like the argument that people have with Star Wars movies, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, the Star Wars movies, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And Freddie Prinze Jr. was the one that said it best. Star Wars movies, at their core, are aimed at children. Mm-hmm. These movies are for kids. This movie is for kids. This movie is for kids. It's not. You're not going to get like people gutted and hung from the roof and eyes gouged out. If you want that, go see Saw 10. It did great box office. I don't think that you can, especially for the people. A lot of the issue is the people that played the games were younger and now they've grown up and they expect it to be reflected in the horror that they're seeing now for their age group, not the horror that it's aimed at when they first played the game.
Right. They want Five Nights Freddy's meets Terrifier. That's what they want. That's
not going to happen.
But no, this is Five Nights at Freddy's meets Little Monsters or Monster Squad.
Or even when we talked about, remember when we talked about Are You Afraid of the Dark coming back? And how much of a shift that was totally from when we watched it to what it is today. Like from the modern day Are You Afraid of the Dark is up there with some of it's some scary shit. They've pushed the envelope because what was scary for us in the 90s doesn't scare kids today. It doesn't scare kids today.
Exactly. And watching
so what scares kids in the early 2020s isn't going to scare kids in another 10 years. That's how things happen.
And you think about movies like this and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, you're hitting the nostalgia factor.
Yeah,
however,
definitely.
You got to remember, that's a kid's book. That is a kid's book. This is a kid's movie, but the adults are going to see it because they're like, love that book when I was little.
As opposed, all right, let's put it in context, as opposed to what they did with Fear Street. where yes, nostalgia was based, but they pushed it for that audience that grew up with those books. So the violence in those movies was violent, like horror movie level violence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, surprisingly so. I remember we all reacted quite like to Fear Street being as violent as it was.
I found it a bit shocking at first because I didn't expect it, I guess. But then when I read the books as a kid, but there was some graphic stuff with the books too. I remember like the one with the hand down the garbage disposal and stuff.
Everyone remembers the first evil.
There was some stuff. Yes. Yeah,
everyone
and there was a bit
the bright orange covers. Yes, okay. We all remember the bright orange covers. It's all good. I love that's the one everyone...
So it wasn't completely unexpected, but it was shocking because I thought they would kid it down. I thought they were going to kid it down more. Yeah, and they've
gone the opposite way to this movie. Do you know what I mean? But
they took it all the way to Tony Braxton.
The way you've got to think about it is that it's all the way to Tony Braxton. Okay, I don't. That's interesting.
Can we just have a minute?
Okay, Breaker.
This is Blumhouse's kid horror. You know what I mean? They've got Blumhouse have everything else. Blumhouse literally has everything else. They didn't have a gateway horror. They didn't have the gateway horror, like let's get the kids into it kind of vibe. They used to do, they used to do that NC-17 like PG like horror mix of stuff. All those movies that were kind of horror but not kind of not, like Truth or Dare and all that kind of stuff.
No,
but this is kid based. This is going to take them into the rest of their catalog. That's kind of smart. That's really good marketing.
It's a smart business move, but I'm really we all know how I feel about Blumhouse films. But anyways.
Look, there's good, there's bad in everything, you know.
We're just
look, Max doesn't escape the animatronic evil either. She gets well and truly handed over and goes missing. Goes missing, and then on the third night, he has to take Abby to work with him because there ain't no babysitter. There ain't no babysitter.
Ain't no babysitter.
I think we could all agree that would be a kid's delight to go somewhere like in the middle of the night and be like, yes, sweet. I can just run around this abandoned like restaurant with games and everything and investigate in the dark. Yeah, no worries.
Look, it'd be a good time. Like, you wouldn't go in expecting to be murdered either. So, like, it'd be exciting for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is where we get the big kind of the big reveal. The first big reveal. That Abby actually befriends the animatronics. Even though they're not really fond of Mike. You know? They're trying to kill Mike, but they love Abby. They're all about Abby, like Abby's friends. And this is where we discover that, you know, the 5 ghosts inhabit the 5 characters inside of Freddy Fazbear's restaurant. Yeah.
And they're saying,
we have to beware. Yep.
I don't know if I read it or if the expert told me, but there's like reference that they died. How he finds them in the dream. Like one died hiding, one died running, things like that.
Yeah, they correspond with.
But how did they die?
We're getting there.
Bitch,
we're getting there. We have to beware because the children are telling everyone to beware of the yellow rabbit. We must beware of the yellow rabbit. The yellow rabbit who appears in a lot of the art on the walls at the restaurant. The yellow rabbit that is not seen at the restaurant. The mysterious yellow rabbit we must be aware of. We must beware of. Because something sinister stalks within the yellow rabbit. So they build a fort and everything. Like they go crazy.
See, this is the part of the film I think could have been cut. I mean, it was pretty cheesy.
It kind of flatlined here. Like
it did.
So it flatlined for me when Mike had to explain his trauma to Vanessa. Like, okay, I didn't need a scene with you explaining that your brother was, and you went back into the dream every night because you're seeing that. As the audience, we're seeing that. I don't need you to explain it to me.
Right.
And that's all that scene was. It was exposition, so the characters could have it could have been done better. And this, it flatlines in. I was like, oh, is this what the game is? Like, I kind of got a bit confused. I was like,
I mean, this is definitely not.
We make friends with the animatronics and build forts and all that kind of thing. It's weird.
This is where you see like. This is where you see, like, this is definitely a kid's film. Like, this moment right here. Because they're not nice and fuzzy.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
So, on the fourth night, Abby gets accidentally injured by one of the animatronics. And Vanessa, is kind of... I'm confused by Vanessa. I don't know whether it's the actress or the writing.
It's probably the writing, honestly, because I thought she did a pretty bang up job for what she had.
About warning, like trying to help him identify the kidnapper, but also telling her never to bring Abby to the restaurant again. It's like, right? So what do you want?
You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So what do you want? Like consistency in character, but I get it. When the reveal comes, like she's. I'm conflicted, but it's...
Yeah, we'll get there.
I'm conflicted. So Mike has to turn to the ultimate evil, Aunt Jane, to babysit, much to her frustration. This bitch, she is not having it. She's not having it. But Mike decides to go back to the restaurant and get, to the bottom of it. Overdoses on sleeping pills on the fifth night.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. And the children appear and make him a deal, make him an offer that he can stay with Garrett forever if he gives them Abby in exchange.
I mean, this hoe ain't loyal. I just want to throw that out there.
That's a Sophie's choice. Yeah, but I think if the film had been a little bit darker from Mike's perspective, you would get why he would accidentally, in a knee-jerk moment, make that choice, because that action, his inaction to save his brother, has shaped his entire life and his sister's entire life. It destroyed the family. It made it like put him where he was today. So of course he's gonna knee-jerk go with that. And I think the script might have been a bit better and we had seen it in a different way, that wouldn't have felt so out of the box. Like, it did feel a bit, oh, that's weird, because you've been so worried about Abby for the whole thing.
Right. So cut out the feel-good part and then focus a little more on
exactly. Give us a little bit more darkness.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Let us into his brain.
Are you saying the pacing? There was some problems with pacing.
No, I think it's the script.
It's not the pacing. The pacing was fine. It's the script. It doesn't know whether it wants to be this dark film, but still aimed at kids, or whether it wants to make you feel all nice and fuzzy, but then scare the shit out of you.
I think there's ways you could have done that and seen why Mike reacts to Abby the way he does because of what had happened in the past. We were missing that.
Trauma, I think
that's what it is. Trauma. We all know that, and trauma is multi-generational. That's what we needed to see.
Yes, you said it exactly.
We didn't see that. We didn't see it.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's what it is. So he quickly changes his mind, but he gets fucked up. Like, those kids are violent. It was like children of the corn. They're running at him out of nowhere. Hacking at him.
As Jeffrey would say, fuck them kids.
Fuck them kids. And he wakes up strapped to the torture device that was, used on the security guard in the opening scene. The Freddy Fazbear mask that's going to come with his face open.
What happened?
What do you mean, what happened?
What happened to
because that whole thing with the security guard, obviously he died, right?
Right.
That's how Mike got the
job. He did. Oh, he did.
Yeah. But, that whole thing with the mask coming down, at first, I was like, are they turning him into Freddy? I was not sure for a good chunk of the movie.
Here, I will get the expert to explain this to you. Hold on.
Okay, I was misled though by that scene happening with that mask coming down. I was like, okay, is he now Freddy? But he was never. He was just killed.
We need you to explain the contraption.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, so Grayson, what we need to understand
The
is
one at the start or the end?
when Mike's in the chair. When Mike's in the chair, what are they trying to do to him?
Do you want the one with Abby or the other one? Both?
No, we're talking about the security guard one
Oh.
and the one Mike escapes.
Yeah.
Explain what that does.
That so the chainsaws, it kills you, but your soul stays in the body, like the animatronic.
Oh, okay.
And
So the guard did become.
Yeah.
So was the guard killed, or did he become an animatronic?
He either got just straight up killed and went to heaven, or he was an animatronic.
Thank you very much. We understand.
Thank you, Grayson.
And that thing with Abby, it really
traps you in the.
The one with spring lock. If you move too much in it, it can spring and crash.
Yeah. It crushes you into the machine, right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for that expert opinion that you brought on for us, Katie. Thank you.
Yep.
So I think in general, what that is trying to do is kill them. For the adults, it's trying to kill them. For a kid, it would.
Okay.
Yeah, so cool. They're trying to get rid of Mike, basically.
Because I wasn't silly enough to know that the security guard was no longer there. I knew he was gone, but I was like, what was the purpose of that? Is that how the other animatronics were made? I had questions, but anyway, Grayson has cleared them up.
That's why we have an expert opinion. That's
exactly.
why we have them. Bring them in when we need them.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty cool. And what he also told me was, there's always been a way to escape. The first security guard just didn't do it fast enough. It's like, really? There was always a way out.
Yeah. But
and he's going, yeah, there always was.
we find out that, the suits are not strictly stuck at the restaurant either, when Freddy makes his way to Abby's house and kills Aunt Jane, who kind of deserved an on-screen death. I'm sorry.
Not kind of.
Oh, she getting off screen.
We deserved an on-screen death from Aunt Jane. We deserved.
She got her comeuppance, and I would have liked to see it happen.
Yeah.
I've never understood that in horror films. So they'll have a secondary antagonist. They'll be like Aunt Jade or, like Melissa and Jason movie. And they'll build up to their death. And then it's just bang, okay, they're gone. Well, then what was the build up for?
It's a kid's movie, so we can't see it.
Well, fair.
Yes. And then Freddy takes Abby back to the restaurant in a taxi, which is, insert comedy moment here.
He is a YouTuber. His name is Corey Devante Williams, or Corey X Kenshin. I don't know these YouTubers, but he is a Five Nights at Freddy YouTuber. So, and there's just a reference to the fandom. I thought that was kind of cool. When I read that fact, I said, "Oh, that's nice. They're bringing the fans into the movie. That's cool."
So, meanwhile, at the restaurant, Vanessa is taking care of Mike because she mysteriously shows up again. Bitch can't get enough. And then we get probably the worst kept secret in the world. That Vanessa has something to do with it. Oh my goodness. The serial killer, the man in the bunny suit, is a man by the name of William Afton, who there is a massive lore behind in the video games, I've been told and, read about. But she is his daughter, and she survived, being raised by a serial killer who murdered the 5 kids and hid their bodies and then their souls inside of the animatronics. But he also murdered Garrett.
I'm going to botch this, I'm sure, but William Afton's other child, I guess, got murdered. So he just kind of got the taste for murder after wanting revenge.
Okay. We shall see. We shall see. I'm sure that's what the rest of it's going to be. So by having the animatronics, the bodies in the animatronics, William Afton controls the souls of the kids inside. So he's like they're powering the beast, and he's under control. So this is the realization that the empty animatronic that we've spotted is planned for Abby. So Mike is at the restaurant, and we get the electricity disabled thing. We get tasers, we get cattle prods, we get all that kind of stuff. Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica are stopped from killing Abby, but then Mr. Cupcake, I can't take myself seriously. Mr. Cupcake attacks Josh Hutcherson. Mike. There we go.
Mike,
Got there
Mike.
eventually.
There you go. Yeah, there.
I was like, Mike, Matt. It's very generic names. And Foxy is chasing Abby with his little whistly tune, making everything creepier. Yeah.
The cupcake thing. I'm not sure how I feel. I like the character Cupcake. I like that idea.
I don't think it translates well to a real life story.
It doesn't. It's not creepy enough.
Yeah.
Like that thing is creepy in the games. Like it's real creepy.
And you need it either needs legs or you need to throw it or something needs to happen. There can't just be this random giant cupcake in places. It's like okay.
It's just rolling around.
I mean, the animatronics are scary. Like, they go scary real quick, but that cupcake is not real, intimidating.
Yeah.
Like,
but the scariest animatronic of all, reveals itself. That rabbit is some scary shit. I'm sorry. Like, who, why? And when the rabbit removes his head, we find out the man in the suit is Steve Raglan.
Steve is William Afton.
The guidance counselor, a.k.a. William Afton, the serial killer. So it's all been a setup. It's all been totally a setup to get Mike into the space.
Okay, so raise your hand if when you first saw Matthew Lillard on the screen, you're like, oh, hey, there's the bad guy.
Yeah.
No. I was half. But I wasn't shocked.
Right there.
Well, it's like when we did the review of Treat, and we did the same with Jamie Kennedy. I'm like,
well, no, hey, to be fair, for Treat, I didn't see Jamie Kennedy being the bad guy.
I did. I think
I did. That one
our generation who lived through it and know why these people are famous and the movie that gave them their career, know that you're gonna have something to do with it because that'd be cute. Like that's what the filmmakers want us to think. We're like, oh, that's cute. That's cute.
Yeah. As soon as I saw that career counselor, I'm like, oh, he's the baddie right there.
You bad girl. You bad girl.
Oh, Matthew Lillard, you bad, and you're so good at being bad.
Yeah. So Abby, the power. This is kind of strange. Like the focus on Abby's drawings has kind of come in and out during the movie, and it's Abby drawing the picture of William murdering the missing children that helps free them. Yes.
I mean, there's not enough information about that because I think that's interesting.
That is interesting.
It's interesting how much power this little girl has, and you gave us basically nothing about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It could have been, again, bad writing, poor writing, poor writing. That could have been
terrible writing.
Not
poor
terrible,
choices,
but just poor choices.
Choices were made and when the final script came out.
Yeah. So Vanessa steps up and tries to stop her daddy, but he stabs her. But not.
They always have daddy issues.
Yes, they do. But not to be outdone. William tries to then kill Mike. Abby shows the drawings to the animatronics, and they decide to get their revenge. So when Mr. Cupcake bites off part of the suit, Steve / William reacts and the suit tightens, it triggers the spring lock, which, drives into his body. So his body, the more he reacts, the more pain he feels. The tighter the suit gets, the further it goes in, fatally wounding him. And as the animatronics drag him back into the restaurant, it begins to collapse around them, which is very apocalyptic. It's like, okay, shit. Right,
the Springlock scene is infamous within Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah. I thought it was well done.
I can imagine it would be.
I mean, I thought it gave enough without giving too much.
Yeah, because it's all internal, and that's fine. Like, you can see in a kids' movie, and Matthew Lillard shows it. Yeah, he acts.
Yes, he did.
He acts.
But no, I thought that was pretty well done.
And then it's kind of over. Like, it is kind of over. Vanessa's in a coma. Mike and Abby
have
spaghetti and meatballs. End of movie.
A spaghetti bowl?
There's nothing like a good spaghetti and meatball.
I need to know what the post-credit scene was, because I am not of the genre of the series. What was the thing that ended up on the taxi driver's seat? That little dude. People are losing their minds. There's TikTok reaction videos to it.
It's a puppet, isn't it? It's the expert. I need you.
Did you see the post credits?
I did. Okay. But he can explain it better. Oh, he's getting nasty.
Oh, okay. Sassy.
Why? I'm trying to do
Come on, you're a content expert.
Okay. The post credit scene. Who's that thing in the front seat?
Balloon Boy.
Balloon Boy. Now, what's the relevance of Balloon Boy?
What do you mean? The other one?
Why is he so afraid of Balloon Boy?
He showed up out of nowhere.
So he's
another
just
character.
So he's a well-known character, obviously.
Oh, so he's important in the second game. Then.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's a signal to the
teasing for a sequel.
Thank you. There we go.
Thank you, expert.
Thank you, expert.
There we go. So obviously, with that setup, Marvel have a lot to answer for with these post-credit scenes, don't they? Because every movie now, I'm like,
we get in a post.
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, we're gonna see something.
Something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, how do we feel about Five Nights at Freddy's? How many bloody fox hooks are we gonna give Five Nights at Freddy's?
Bloody fox hooks.
Bloody fox.
I was going to say, how many nights at Freddy's are we giving? I don't know.
No, how many bloody fox?
Bloody fox hooks. Out of 5? Out of 5?
Yeah.
Look, solid 3, but I think I need to watch it again to understand stuff, because obviously I've had some cognitive dissonance. Needed a child to explain to me what actually was going on. So yeah, I'll give it 3 out of 5 hooks, because I need a rewatch just to get through it. But it was a fun ride, and it's a fun flick, and it's something you can let your younger adults watch when they're starting to get interested in horror movies.
Pretty good. What about you, Katie?
Luke, to be fair, the expert is more mature than most grown men. So
true. Well, definitely this panel.
Take it for what you will. I agree. Three bloody fox hooks. Thought it was fun, even with the expert whispering in my ear, giving me all the ins and outs of this. I think I still would have enjoyed it, even if I did not.
You know what, though, Katie? I have to say that would have been the most cutest little bonding experience for you. So
we had fun. We had a lot of fun. He was excited to go. He was talking about it all week. He's been ready to go. My friend and I took him.
Does that give it an extra little half a fox hook for
No.
Okay.
No, the experience doesn't get it anywhere else. I think it was a really weak script. I think for something that people are really excited about like this, it needed to be stronger. However, it could have been worse. I thought it was fun. I had fun. I'm looking forward to the second one. And when we're done here, I'm probably going to go play Five Nights at Freddy's with the expert.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I reckon 3 is a good general consensus. As we discussed, I think that there was some poor scripting and poor directing choices that kind of led to some duller moments that could have been used to show us a bit more about the characters, that would have made the ending a bit more prominent. Like show us how dark Mike's life slash mind is. Show us the importance of the drawings, like of Abby's drawings. Like we didn't need half of the scenes with Aunt Jane. We didn't need that big exposition scene with Mike explaining that he has dreams, so we've seen the dream twice already. Like, there's some choices that
we know you have them.
It could have slimmed it down and really like push forward a slight. I think kids these days can handle a slightly darker film. Like,
yeah, I think Aunt Jane's character was just completely like, she didn't need to be there. You could cut her completely out of the film.
Make her child welfare or something. Like,
you wouldn't miss her.
You wouldn't miss her.
Would not miss a beat. I think cutting her and putting more of the backstory of their lives in their
focus on the characters a little bit more.
Yeah, it would make it a lot more interesting. And
it was like they were so focused on getting us to the animatronics that everything else, the story was secondhand.
And sometimes though these films try not to get too bogged down in lore, especially in a lore-heavy franchise. They don't want to lose their new audience, so they sometimes.
But there wasn't really any of the lore in here. That's the thing.
They're saving that now.
There was not much lore in here. It was just like an introduction to the characters. If you had more of the lore in there, it might have made it more interesting.
Yeah.
I like that they had they threw in some of the fans in there. The song that's playing on the end credits is by the Living Tombstone, which is
I love Living Tombstone. I love the cover of Ghostbusters.
Yes. Yeah. And they play Five Nights at Freddy music.
Very cool.
I like that. Yes. I mean, there is artists focused like solely on making music about Five Nights at Freddy's, like about the story, about the game, about it.
Which shows how much of a cultural reach it has. You know what I mean? And I think that it's safe to say that we've definitely not seen the end of Five Nights at Freddy's as a movie franchise. So we may be back here. We may be back here one day quite soon, but I'm pretty sure we haven't talked about it yet, but I might commit us to it. There's a special holiday that we need to celebrate that's coming up.
Christmas.
That is not the holiday we're talking
What happens
we're talking
before
about
Christmas?
Coming home in a body bag. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. We're talking about
Thanksgiving.
In a body bag. And Luke, listen, you can either watch this or I'll make you watch Thanksgiving.
No, so we're never watching Thanksgiving again.
We will check back in with you after we have seen Thanksgiving, which is coming up in a few days. It's not that far away, actually. So in a couple of weeks, we'll be back with another review for Thanksgiving. But thank you, Luke. Thank you, Katie, for joining us today and spending 5 nights at Freddy's. We'll be back again soon. Keep it creepy, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.